Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and P-Dubs Unscripted here. I'm joined by P-Dubs, and how's it going?
It's going great. I just got done with a beautiful lunch at south of the border.
Oh, Taco Bell. I haven't been there for a while.
Oh, yes, you should go and enjoy their new reward system.
I think I have their app.
Do you?
I think I do. And
Yeah.
I think I'm a reward member there.
Yeah, I thought I was too, but now I think I've just signed up again.
Oh.
Just so that I could enter a 4-digit code to help streamline my order processing at the kiosk.
You sound a little upset or a little perturbed by this.
Well, I'm thinking I get all these emails from Taco Bell. They just load up my, personal email account and I never use it. And I think, I would just because, when you go to a kiosk at Taco Bell, you got to do your order, which it's taken me a while to orient myself on the order taking thing.
Okay.
And then, after you're all done, it's all good. And then it's like, okay, enter your name, your first name and initial of your last name. And then give us your email account. So I'm always putting in my email account. I'm still a Hotmail account user for
Hotmail, really?
Yeah, let me tell you, man. I am tried and true. I won't give up, if I'm brand names.
I want to say that was my first couple emails in high school and stuff for Hotmail.
Yeah, I think I might be one of the only ones left.
I don't think those are my account. I didn't know Hotmail still existed.
Oh, yeah, man.
But isn't it connected with Outlook?
It is.
Okay,
so
but it's still...
it got morphed in.
But it's still Hotmail.
Still Hotmail. So I enter that in, and then they go, okay, thank you for your order. How would you like your receipt? Well, I can either have it text to me, email me, or printed. And, at the kiosk, if you want it printed, you got to go to the counter. And I'm like,
Well, do you normally like it printed, the receipt?
No, I don't.
Okay, because this will be reference number 1.
Okay.
But, because I know you'd like to have the Seinfeld wallet, the Costanza wallet. So the paper receipt helps to get to there. So there's our first Seinfeld reference for those counting.
This is me growing as an individual. I used to always get the printed receipts, and I would put them in my wallet.
So you had the Costanza wallet.
So when I would open up my billfold, I had more receipts and things than I had cash. And so it would have and you've seen it.
Oh, I've seen your Costanza wallet.
I think that's why I have to go to the chiropractor now, because the chiropractor says I've got this little lean into my back. Oh. And that's from sitting on my wallet
I've
all
gone
these
to one
years.
of these types of wallets now.
Oh, man, I need one of those.
And it's what's different, and it's been a game changer. I didn't think I'd like it at first, is keeping it in my front pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't really sit on that one.
No, because that would be painful.
A little bit, but I was like, well, I like having it in my front pocket. That's a new thing.
It is a new thing, yeah.
How many years of having it in my back pocket. Mm-hmm. But now I'm so used to it. I love it. And what's great is I'm like, I don't think I have to worry about being pickpocketed, because I think I would notice somebody going into my front pocket for my wallet.
Oh, yeah.
Back pocket, you can get pickpocketed that way.
Well, and I noticed you got this little circular thing on there that kind of helps.
Yeah, it's my Apple AirTag.
Your locator.
My Apple AirTag. It comes in handy. It came in handy as you were there the day when I went to go visit one of our members, and I walked there because it was a nice day out. She didn't live that far. I got about halfway back to Emmanuel, and my watch and my phone went off saying, your wallet is left behind at this person's address. And I was just like, I hope it didn't fall out of my pocket in the parking lot when I was grabbing my AirPods out of my pants, because I was going to be listening to music as I was walking back to the church. And I was like, I got to go back there. And I was like, I hope it's in her condo, because if it's on who knows who would have got it in that short time. But thankfully, she caught her right before she was leaving to go to the store. We get into her condo. I'm like, okay, I'm going to hit the button, play a sound. Boom, it was right on the couch. Whew. But I was like, it would have been okay, because she would have found it and probably figured it out, would have seen my license in there. But it was one of those, I'm like, I'd rather just have it to be safe.
Isn't that a horrible sinking feeling when you lose your wallet or your keys and you're just like, you're lost, or your cell phone? I mean, that kind of thing just kind of, sends shockwaves through me anyway. Right. I don't know what to do now.
Well, see, that's where I can't wait, because I know Illinois has passed a law, and it's supposed to happen sometime by the end of the year, where you can have your driver's license on your cell phone, have your digital ID, and it's rolling out first with Apple users, so iPhone users can get it.
Okay.
But I'm like, I like that, because there's a few times where if I'm just running to a store real quick, I might forget my wallet. I use Apple Pay for most everything.
Yeah.
I was like, if I get pulled over.
That's not a bad thing.
But I'm like, if I get pulled over, I'm going to be in trouble here because I don't have my license. I was like, oh, if it's on my phone, that's one less thing you don't have to maybe need your wallet as much. But, things are going cashless so much more.
Yeah.
You're talking about the kiosk.
Yeah. So the reason, so that I just explained the whole process. So like I would choose text. So they're like, for my receipt. Oh, enter in your cell phone number. Okay, I do my cell phone number, and we're all done, right? And so it pays, and it's all beautiful and wonderful, and I get a nice text because there are times, not every time, where your order isn't right.
Right.
And so I feel like I got something real quick. It is what it is. They can't dispute it. So that's been helpful. So today I walk in, and on the kiosk, it says, enter your rewards 4-digit code to get streamline your thing. And I'm like, I need a code. I'm like, how do I don't have a code. I know I get emails from them. How do I get a code? So I go in, I'm like, I'm going to sit down and figure this out. So I went into my email, looked up one of the 1,000 emails that I get from Taco Bell. Like,
we're not being paid for this promotion at Taco Bell.
I know. And then it says, oh, you get a free Cantina taco. Oh, looky there. And so it says, sign up for your rewards code. Bang. Okay, now I have to download an app. And so, okay, download the app. And then now they want me to fill out everything in the app. Like, who am I? What's my email account? So I give them my Hotmail account. And I'm thinking, how will this work? Because they already got it. Well, they accepted it. They wanted my cell phone number. I'm like, well, I bypass that and then it's like, oh, can we send you emails for marketing? How often can we track your activity and all that fun stuff? So I finally get it. And now I'm on the order screen. I'm sitting next to the kiosk.
How long have you been there by this point?
Oh, probably by now. This didn't take me too bad. It was like maybe 5 minutes. And now I'm like, all right, I guess I'll order from my phone. And I still haven't solved the mystery of how to get a rewards code. So I go through the whole thing and I got my free Cantina taco and I go and I got to set up my payment, and I do all that and I send it and I get this whole progress thing. Your order is received. It is in progress. It will be ready in 2 minutes. And it was fast, So that was all good. And so I get my order and I sit down and I'm like, I still don't have my 4-digit code. How do I get my code? So I'm eating my Taco Bell and I'm like going through the app and I'm looking in the profile, nothing. Well, there's this thing called sign in. Well, you sign in with your phone before you get there and it gives you a 4-digit code so that when you go to the kiosk and order, it's got all the information for you. Bada bing, bada boom, betty boop. It's great. But they I had to get an app.
Let's see,
and order my food. Oh, and then I find out if you got to put in the code before you order so that you get more points for rewards. So I got gypped on my rewards for my first order.
You can't go back and add them back later.
Yeah, they're like, they're like, enter your receipt, scan your receipt to get your code or to get your rewards. I didn't get a paper receipt. I'm like, oh, forget about it.
I'm laughing because, we talked about, I think we've talked about a couple different things. And just real quick, speaking of kind of restaurants type deal things, I just got a notification here that said famous actor died at 76 and George Wendt just passed away.
What?
Yeah. Norm. Everybody knows his name. Maybe I got to go watch some Cheers tonight.
Oh, here's one of my favorite Norms. Norm! And he walks in. Norm, what's going down? And he goes, my butt on this bar stool.
But yeah, so I believe he's a Chicago guy. He was in the Superfan skits.
Yeah.
I just saw that. I was like, well, what actor passed away? And did not expect it to be Norm.
Here's another one. Norm! Hey! How's it going? Well, Sammy, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
He was such a great character.
It was great.
Him and Cliff Clavin.
Oh, Cliffy. Hey, Nami.
Yeah, so good times there. But yeah, so sad. He was a good actor. Enjoyed him in Cheers. Enjoyed him on Superfan skits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dog Bears. Wasn't he part of the Dog Bears?
Yeah, he was like the kind of like the main one, I think.
Yeah. Doubles.
That's when SNL was still good.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to like the app thing, like I can't remember if I shared this one before, but like I like Chipotle.
Yes, you do. Who doesn't?
I like my steak quesadilla. I like a quesadilla. And I remember one time going there and being like, I want a steak quesadilla. Like, you got to order it through the app. I'm like, what? Well, is it really slowing it down that much?
Yeah, because like when you said quesadilla, I was thinking of the menu, and there is no option to have a quesadilla.
No,
on the menu inside.
But
is
even
there?
Before like the app thing, it was kind of almost like their secret menu. They make it like it was known, and you can get whatever meat you want in there, whether you want chicken or the barbacoa. And I was like, what? And then it was like even more delayed because didn't even fit the how long they said it was going to take.
Oh yeah,
and like maybe it was Good Friday. Angie and I went there after Good Friday service at Chipotle, and it was like a last minute. I'm like, what do we want to grab for dinner after service? I don't know. Let's just drive to Deer Park. There's options when we get there. We can figure out. Let's do Chipotle. I was like, okay. We'll go in the store, order on the app once we get in there, and just sit down. I'm like, whatever. And it's like, your food will be ready at 9 o'clock. It's like 8:50. 9 o'clock, I go up there like, we haven't even started. And they weren't that busy.
Oh, come on.
And it felt like the guy that was in line that came after the order was submitted online.
Got his before you.
They were working on it. But then also, I thought I heard him ask for a quesadilla. And I was like,
oh, no.
Because I was like, does it really take that much longer to make a quesadilla? I'm like, this slows me down. I'm like, yeah, I do like it sometimes because, like, if it's here or if I'm at home or, like, Angie and I would go there after church on Sundays for Bears games. It was quick and easy. Where I'm like, okay, I'm leaving Emmanuel, put it in my order.
Should be ready when I get there.
Go get it ready when I'm through the drive-thru at the Chipotle in Barrington. And that works well. But I'm like, that initial, like, that last minute, I'm like, can't I just go in line? Like, why do we have to have this middleman of going through an app?
It makes no sense. Like, here you are to the person. You could say it to the person, but oh no, you could be verbalizing it, and you have to go to the app. Isn't there a funny thing about that online somewhere?
Can you imagine if we'll do another Seinfeld. Nowadays, if you had a Seinfeld, that would be a whole episode.
Oh, it would. It would totally be an episode. It would replace
the Chinese restaurant episode.
Seinfeld, table for four.
But that would be it. But or the other one, I've done this a couple times, and this is shame on me. I forget where I'm at, and I've ordered it from the Palatine store when I'm at home and mean to do like others to McDonald's. I'm like, I get to the McDonald's in Barrington. I'm like, this is my code. And they're like, we don't have that one, sir.
Oh my goodness.
And I look, I'm like,
that's Palatine. That's embarrassing.
Now I'm like, now I got to drive to Palatine.
Oh man, that sounds like our family sometimes, because there was one time it was after church and we're like, well, where should we go? Let's go to Taco Bell. So it was just Gwen and I, and we mostly have two cars. And I'm thinking 9.9% of the time after church, if we go to Taco Bell, we're going to the one in Palatine. We live out in Algonquin. There's one in Carpentersville. So I said, all right, I'll see you at Taco Bell. All right, sounds good. I'm sitting at the Palatine Taco Bell, and I'm like, where is she? And like 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she got stopped by somebody. 25 minutes. And I'm like, I call her up. I'm like, where are you? Well, I'm almost at the Taco Bell. I'm like, really? What did you get home? No, I'm out in Carpentersville. So Gwen went to the Carpentersville one. I went to the Palatine one. And I was just like, oh, I can't believe it. So from then on, it was like, going to meet at the Taco Bell. The one in Palatine, right? So we don't have to do this again.
Well, is one better than the other? Is one more consistent?
Oh, that is a good question.
Because I would say, for you guys, it might be easier if the Carpentersville one's a little bit better.
Well, it's closer to home. And boom, you're right home. Right. And I think that's probably what Gwen thought. Golly, I would say, and I have no legitimate reason behind my vote, but I would say the Palatine one.
So then I would
better atmosphere. I guess the food might be better. I don't know. I mean, how could it be
consistent? But sometimes depending on places, Chipotle, depending on the Chipotle, it depends on how much. Especially because I've heard people say they don't like ordering on the app from Chipotle. Because if you don't have to look at the person making the food, so they might be a little
They'll chintz you.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's a thing. Chipotle, you go through the line. I feel like sometimes they'll give the person in front of me a lot of the meat, and then it comes to me and they're chintzing me out, and I feel like I'm George Costanza. I want to say something. I feel an injustice.
That's 3 for those counting.
I want to say, wait a minute, why did that person get more than me? But I usually just keep my mouth shut. But I think their portions are going down. But I've always asked, and most times if I want a little extra cheese, I'll say, could I just have a little extra cheese? And then they'll go in there and give me some. But that's about all that I ask extra of.
But it's one of those I'm like, they probably are true because the employee doesn't have to look at you as they make it.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, they're not going to know that I didn't give them as much as this next person.
Same thing happens at Panda. I feel like, if you're the unlucky one who wants I get Beijing beef. And there's hardly a little bit left. And I'm like, oh, please don't just give me what's left over, because mostly it's not more than what you're supposed to have. It's probably somewhat less. And I'm like, I feel like saying, oh, I'll wait till the next one, but then I don't want to wait. So it's this. So I usually get it and I just sit there and go, oh, that's not a lot. I should have changed. I should have ordered a different variety. I don't know.
But these apps are meant to make life easier.
Yeah.
But then there is some where they don't go. I think I've shared on this about my ordering pizza from different places online. And just the tracker, not very accurate. And those places have been banned from me going to them just because I'm less.
We won't bring them up, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody here. But and there's those user errors where I just forget to change. I know the one podcast I listened to, they've talked about that with the DoorDash guys. I've DoorDashed my order to work to the office instead of my house. Or he's like, or we moved from New York to Chicago. He's like, I DoorDashed it to the house in New York, or where I lived in New York and I'm in Chicago. But there is some user error from time to time. And I like it because I'm me, I don't like talking on the phone. So the more I can just order from an app, a few clicks of the button, that's awesome. Easy to get the reward points. And then, you can use that for free things. I like the rewards. But then there are where it's I feel like could be an easier way, or I feel like they're shorting me out or something.
It sounds like you order online and go get the food yourself rather than, you mentioned Uber food.
I've never done DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash. Yeah, it's a ripoff. I think.
I have a car. Why do I need
I know.
Why do I need to pay that extra? Because it is ridiculous. The DoorDash fees, it's it almost adds another $5 to $10 to your meal. I'm like,
yeah, I know.
That's not worth it. I have a car.
Well, we shop online. We get a lot of Walmart delivery to our house.
I've never done that.
No, there's a fee associated to it, but we have good reason to do it. And so the other day, Gwen goes, it was Sunday, and I was like, it was just this past Sunday. I'm like, I really got home, didn't feel like doing much. And she's like, oh, we need dog treats. We need dog food. We need this, that for the dogs. And so she says, do you want to go? I said, oh, not really into it going right now. I'm a little pooped out. And I go, can't you just order it online? Oh, well, it won't get here till, 10 o'clock at night. Okay, well, that's regular delivery. Oh, they can't have everything, because she's looking at it and they, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. And she goes, well, we could have expedited delivery for another $12. I'm like, what? The Walmart is 4 miles away. So I said, fine, I'll go do it. And I went and got everything, of all we wanted. And it's I'd rather go do it myself.
Yeah, I have 2 legs. I have a car.
Yeah.
Why
even when I don't want to, it makes more sense.
Why pay that extra fee? But I do like ordering from the apps, but I'm like, I can just go do it myself. Like, I've never really, because I think maybe even growing up, we never really had pizza delivered to the house when we order pizza.
Same.
It was just go to whatever place you're going and just bring it back home.
That's right. And I'm so stupid. Like, we live on the east side of Algonquin. If I want a Little Caesars, there's one in Carpentersville on the east side.
And there's one up on Randall.
There's one on Randall Road in Lake in the Hills. Where do I go? Randall Road, because I feel like their pepperoni is made better. It's so dumb. So it doesn't sound like a lot of time, right? Like, let's say it's after church on Saturday. And I'm like, I got the little app thing, and so I order it. So when you get there, it's the kiosk.
Yeah, you just type in the code.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right? Like, all done. And, you say hi, thank you. You're on your way. But what does it take me to get from my house out there and back? It's another 25 minutes onto my ride. And so, but I could just go right to Carpentersville, be home in like 5 minutes. Nope.
But
that's my own undoing.
Is that pepperoni worth it?
Well, it gets me to thinking sometimes. I think mostly it is.
Yeah, because I think the only time I really was like considering doing like DoorDash or something was when I had COVID 3 years ago.
Oh, I could see that.
Whereas like I'm just sick of what I have in the house. But then when I saw the price, I was just like, no, it's not worth it. This is not worth it.
You got your sick self up and you went and did it.
No, I didn't even. I think I just had whatever.
Didn't do it.
I just didn't do it because I was like, I can't. I shouldn't go into Five Guys or I think it was like Five Guys, and I was just like, nope. And I was just like, nope. I'm just gonna suck it up. It's fine. But at the end, I think it was towards the end of my time with it where I'm just like, I'm stir crazy. I just want something different.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just couldn't justify the fees for DoorDash or Uber Eats. Like, it's just not worth it.
I guess these first world problems that we have are really hard to deal with in everyday life.
Right. But and we're so tech reliant now. Like, I'm guilty as the next person because I have it all on my phone and iPad, and those are always with me. But it's just like sometimes they don't make it so easy.
Yeah, I know. Like. And then me and gas rewards. I will travel to the ends of the earth to get the 20 cents or 50 cents off the gallon or whatever that it is, just because it feels good. And like, I know, all right, I've just driven 66 miles back and forth to get, maybe 40 cents off a gallon. I think I did something good there. Probably not.
Yeah, see, and then this was like last night, as I went to watch my niece play softball since it was right by my house at Barrington High School. Then I went to dinner with my sister-in-law, my niece, and my nephew, and just went to a burger place in Barrington. And I was paying, and like I went to I did Apple Pay, and then I was signing, and then like I accidentally hit a button. It's like $3 donation or whatever. I was just like, I wasn't planning on doing it. And it was like, as soon as I hit it, just went to the next screen. I was like,
oh boy. Well, God bless you. You're a gracious man.
I was like, okay, it's only $3, but it was just kind of one of those like,
yeah.
I'm like, don't you want me to confirm? It's just like, hit the button. And I didn't mean to because I think it was like slow and I hit it twice. And then the next thing was that. I was just like, oh man. I'm like, good thing it wasn't a huge amount.
Right.
But I was like, I don't even know where this is going to.
Speaking about where is this going to, I don't know where our podcast is. You said we don't know where this is going to, but I think we had another topic in mind, didn't we?
We were talking about like the question I was asking me at a wedding.
At a wedding. So I did a wedding. I co-officiated a wedding, which was quite nice. And one of the guests at the reception came up to me and said, just have a question for you. What do you, I got to think of the way they said it. What do you like to do more, weddings or funerals? And I said, the fact that you're asking me that question, I think you have some understanding of what my answer will be. I said, because, your average person would say, well, it must be weddings because they're joyous, fun events, right? And they are. And they're great. But my answer was a funeral. And I said, because if I could just put it plainly, I really feel like a pastor after I help a family through a loss, like everything leading up to it, the planning to the actual service. And they nodded and smiled and said, that's we kind of understand what you're saying. And again, I'm like, it's not that I don't feel like a pastor at a wedding, because you form this connection with the couple.
Right.
Again, you do everything, all the premarital sessions, and I find those to be awesome. Like, you really get to know the couple really well. And so, I know that's a joyful milestone thing. It's just part of the cycle, right? Like, like you start with a couple that gets married, and if they're blessed with children, maybe we get to be a part of baptisms, and then confirmation, or then we get to go to maybe graduation party or things like weddings. And then you come to end of life, and there you are. And so that was my answer. I don't know. I don't know if everybody would think that, but
even like with funerals, I'm thinking there is still laughs in there, as you
there
think.
is.
And I mean, there is something about that where you get to remember those stories, especially when you know the people. You can remember those stories. Like, we had one for a member that was 102 couple weeks, where you got to share some of those fun stories of Avalon, just those different things, and like you brought up her birthday party thing.
And the green tea.
And the green
caper.
And then, we brought up that time in church, like when she fell coming up.
Took a little tumble.
And it was one of those.
She vehemently denied it.
Right.
Hitting her head.
And it was one of those it was horrible when that happened to her. But since she was okay, we could laugh, and just the whole situation, and me, because I think you can hear on the live stream me go, "Oh no!"
I do remember that now that you
because I saw her it happen. I was just like, I can't do it. I'm not quick enough to stop this.
Wasn't it during communion?
Yeah.
So we were both together.
Yeah, it was a 5:00 service, and just the front wheel of her walker clipped the front pew.
That was kind of the whole I couldn't move fast enough. Didn't you say that to me just the other day? I don't know, I was taking a tumble or something, and you were trying to grab me, and you're like, I just sat there and watched you do it. I wanted to. I can't remember what that was.
What was happening? But there was something where I'm like, I could see it, but I just couldn't do enough to stop it.
Couldn't do anything to stop it. I can't even remember what it was, but it was a similar situation.
But I was just yes, it's sad because we mourn the loss of that person. But we also have those memories that we can laugh and cherish and remember. You think about loved ones in your own family. It's when I did my grandmother's funeral. Yeah, that was hard. But it was also good to share some of those laughs of maybe the things she would say, or just a silly moment, or just those good memories.
Yeah.
I remember my brother, because I was like, anything you guys want me to include? And him making a comment nothing beats watching these my mom and my grandma fighting over the latest fashion trends at Spiece. Oh. Talk about a blast from the past. Spiece.
Yeah. Right.
I think of the one at Crystal Point Mall. Remember, and that was a thing, Crystal Point Mall in Crystal Lake.
Holy cow, that was the place to be, wasn't it?
Oh, I think of all the card shows I used to go to buy baseball cards.
Yep.
And then there's one at Spring Hill Mall.
Okay.
That's the other Spiece I could think of. And I think there was one in Elgin my mom would have talked about.
Gotcha.
But it's a thing of the past, but just that I remember those Saturdays with mom and ma.
Yeah, so those stories of life kind of come out, and even weddings can have very poignant, emotional moments of, you talk about families experiencing loss. So even in this last one, the groom's mom had passed away 3 years ago. So that was very prevalent in the hearts of many, not just his family. I mean, even the bride's family is aware, and not that they knew her, but so I had to do the prayers. I didn't have to do. I was invited to do the prayers. Thank you for the better word. And the last petition was remembering those who have died and gone before. And I sat there. Now it was a Catholic church, so the father graciously asked me to stand next to him while he did the vows and the ring, and he did it all. I was just there as a representation of, the bride's pastoral connection or church. And then it was my turn to do the prayers, and leading up to it, I'm like, I didn't ask anybody. Do I state the name of mom?
Right.
And do I say anything beyond what is written in the petition, So I'm kind of ruminating over this, and my wife Gwen's like, you look nervous. Why are you fiddling with the papers? I'm like, I don't even know, it would be the right pastorally thing to do, but I don't know, if I'm making a error in judgment.
Right, where you open up a wound more so than what you intended to.
Right, so it's like you're trying to be comforting, but I didn't want to overstep. Well, in the message, the father, he did bring up his mom. And so I thought, okay, door is open. So all that I'm doing is just saying her name and thanking. So that's what I did. And it seemed at that point very appropriate. I could see, family members, experiencing still that loss. So even on a happy day,
Like, yeah, because you think about losing a loved one, like that first holiday without that person, you think of them not being there, that empty chair, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
And the same is true for weddings. Absolutely.
And those are huge life milestone events that people are certainly missed, So, how would you answer? If you were given that question, what would you say?
I think I kind of lean toward what you're saying, because you do feel like there's something, I don't know, not to be like, look at me, like pat on the back, but like walking through a hard time with a family, just comforting them because they're going through a rough time. Mm-hmm. And that's, part of why I want to be a pastor, just be there for people's support. And,
yes.
It's great to be there in the joyous times, but also people need to know they're not walking through this alone. Because I think, both of us think anytime, like, especially if we do like funerals maybe for the community, like, hey, if there's anything Emmanuel can do for you, let us know. Mm-hmm. That just like, hey, we don't want, that doesn't have to just be this one-time thing.
Right. And I think both, like we've talked about this before, both events have this outreach opportunity to share the gospel.
Right.
People are there. They're listening to you. You've got a captive audience because of either occasion, right?
Right.
But I think in funerals, because of the loss aspect, maybe those in attendance, their hearts are more open to the gospel if they're not like actively walking with the Lord or connected to a church. So I really enjoy that opportunity, like to share the gospel so that those who don't normally connect with it might get something that the Lord would plant in their heart,
Right. Yeah.
So I like we've done many funerals at funeral homes, and it's like it's a room filled with people, and you don't know, where their faith is. Yeah, but it's like, you look out there and you think, well, maybe they would catch this.
And I think maybe that, as you kind of talk about, like those people are more locked into the message than at a wedding. Where they're just like, okay, this is fun. Okay, the pastor's talking about love.
Yeah.
Whatever, Let's just get the show on the road so we can get through the reception, dance, have all the fun. Uh-huh. But at a funeral, that person's locked in because they're searching for that comfort that we're trying to provide in that message.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you hit it on there because, like, I think at weddings, it's like people are there. They are really, truly looking forward to the party.
Right.
And that's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But, for us as believers, it's like there's something very special happening there with the presence of God. And, in this, starting this couple off in their life as a married couple.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you ever had opportunity where you thought, I don't even, like maybe you had some sense of the family there that maybe for a wedding or a funeral, like you kind of get the vibe that they're not really connected to God.
Yeah. Where it's like, okay, we need the pastor here to do this funeral just because that's the right thing to do. So let's check off the box. But it's still an opportunity to provide and share the gospel with people. Yeah.
And then, like, at times we as pastors, we meet with families at funerals and try and get something about the deceased so that we can weave it into our message and, like, be relatable. But you've had times where, we've had the call from like the funeral home and you get very little about the person. So now you're like in this quandary of like, well, I never met the person. They know I've never met the person. And I've gotten maybe 2 sentences from the family about the person. And then, people sitting in there are kind of, I'll just say, critiquing perhaps your message. Well,
that's like, there's one person in particular, I'm not going to name anything to give out, but you'll know who I'm talking about because I talked about him as soon as I met you guys at Falcon for that show where I had the interesting character after the funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Where after the service, the guy comes up to me, he's like, I could tell you really didn't know this person.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this was Saturday. I didn't know this person existed until Wednesday. And the family didn't give me much to work on.
Yeah.
So it is hard to make that personal. But to me, in those situations, it's like, okay, I'm going to, whether, they tell me they believe. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take them at the word. Mm-hmm. Because of that faith, the person's in heaven. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm going to say, God loved this person. Mm-hmm. God died for this person. That same God loves you. He died for you, and he's here to comfort you. Yeah. Lean upon him for strength. Lean upon the people God has placed in your life.
And that is where that's the message that we all need to hear, the gospel. And don't get me wrong, it's like, I'm not like, predominating my message about the person and their life and the good person. Really, we're sharing the gospel and we're letting God do the work, right? To the grieving heart. But it sure helps people connect to you as a speaker if they feel like the person or know something about the person. But and I've heard like the flip side where people will say, I really appreciated, it sounded like you really knew that person. Boy, when I was at so and so's funeral, the officiant knew nothing and it was obvious. So it's like, okay, I can tell they're really critiquing, and I don't think it's always the officiant's problem because they don't always know the person.
Right. And if you don't get much from the person, like I know we've talked about that. I know you've kind of done the same thing, whether reading in the person's obituary or somebody gives like a little eulogy about the person at the funeral.
You're tuning in.
You're like, I could use that. I could use that and tie that in and just kind of adding it last minute into that.
On the flip side, I have had where you meet with the family and they give you so much stuff. And I type or write all the notes. And then if there's like eulogy or family remembrances, and then I feel like the person just went right down the thing of all the notes that I had. And I'm like, I got nothing left, So it's not like I want to reiterate what was just said. I never want to do that. But it's like, oh, man. All right, now I just got to launch off of the things that were previously said and not like go deep,
Well, it's almost like, and we experienced this a month or so ago at installations or ordinations as pastors, where you got to say a Bible verse over the pastor that's being installed or ordained, and it is one of those like, I hope the person in front of me doesn't take my verse. And like, we were at one for Pastor Dave Ficken, who was a guest on our podcast not that long ago. And, I was ahead of you, and you said you were looking at my phone to see kind of where I was leaning for my verse. And then Pastor Randy Roselle was like, I'm the last one. And thankfully, none of you guys took my verse.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm so happy I'm not the only one that thinks that during
Me too. Didn't you say something like, I was going to do Proverbs 3, 5 through 6 because you knew I like to do that one?
No, I just saw it. I was like, ooh, that could be a good one. But like I said, I think it was last year when I preached at my friend's ordination down in St. Louis. I think more churches, when there's installations, ordination, need to do with that church today. I don't know if it's a Missouri district thing. They had a whiteboard down in the room where we were kind of gathering. And they said, okay, everybody, put your Bible verse you're going to say as the blessing on the board. Oh,
nice. That way nobody has to see, like, I got to adjust in the moment.
Yeah, because I was down there and like there was a few others. I was like, I'm going to go to the board right now. I'm going to write it down right away. But I'm like, that saves that like fear of like, oh no, is somebody going to take my verse?
Right.
But I was like, why don't more churches do that?
They should,
We need if I'd ever run for district president, which would never happen.
Oh, I think it's coming soon, fella.
That's what I'm going to run.
I'm going to nominate you.
I'm going to run on that platform. We will have a board where you write down your first before installation and ordination.
Yes.
Take away that fear.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, well, just some behind the scenes things and thoughts of us as pastors as we, go out into the community and serve families and stuff. It's a lot of interesting things, but it is a joy either way, right? Like from weddings to funerals to ordinations, there's always something really special about it. And I
mean, even with funerals, like even that luncheon time can be a really joyous time of you just celebrating that person's life and having that fellowship and hearing the stories. Like,
yes,
that's one of the things. Like going to funerals, you hear things about people that you didn't know. Because was it Art Just hearing about his story of like leaving Germany in World War II?
I know
all that stuff I didn't know, or like Eb Fuhr, which I didn't really get to know that well, but hearing about his whole time going to Crystal City in Texas when he was going to the internment camps here in the United States.
Yeah, and you soon realize, you can't help but compare your own life to that person's story and what they've gone through in their life. And you think, how blessed am I that I never had to kind of go through an internment camp or whatever, had to migrate from Germany through the middle of a war and, be separated from your family. And you just think, golly, I have nothing to compare with, but it just makes you appreciate that person and who they were and their character all the more.
Right, and it's just like, that is the other joy as a pastor is you get to visit people, you get to hear their stories, and I don't know about you, but that is some of the joys of ministry, hearing those stories of like, man, this person lived an amazing life.
Yep, yeah, and it is something. It's very humbling, actually. Yeah.
And to be invited in on those very important things, whether it is a funeral, whether it is a wedding, baptisms, ordinations, installations, those are important milestones. Maybe not milestones, not the word, but important life events to be brought into, in a sense, the inner circle.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been fun kicking that around after we got through our little reward system problem.
Yeah. It's good. We spent about half the time on each topic,
good.
So, we did good on that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. God blessing on your day.
PD and P-Dubs, unscripted.